that process could be anything from the patient leaving and going out and doing their direct-to-consumer research, where they start shopping around because they didn't get those answers chairside and had to come back. Life gets in the way, unexpected expenses, car repairs, patient delays, maybe them just forgetting about it. And there's all these different things that could happen from the time the patient comes in and asks the questions about Invisalign and they're interested until that consult 2 to 3 weeks later. So what we did at Invisalign was we came up with this treatment plan and a platform in the form of an app that can help you with the patient interest portion and skip all the rest of these steps and get you right to start that day chairside. Ryan, next slide, please. So these are some of the common reasons why the ClinCheck has been used to close cases in the past. The number one is clinical confidence. As clinicians, you can all look at a patient and see that. Can everybody just please mute? So the number one thing, clinical confidence. You know, you can look at a case and have an idea of what it might be, or you're not quite sure, but because your lab bill depends on the treatment type that you're doing, you like to know ahead of time what type of case it's going to be, or if it's a case that you say, this is a little too involved for me, this is something I would probably refer out. Not being able to know that until you got your ClinCheck back. That also goes with time and cost, as we mentioned before. Time being not knowing how many aligners it's going to take, if you're doing weekly or bi-weekly aligner changes, depending on the office. That all factors into the time that the patients are looking to find an answer to. And cost, depending on your lab bill, that's going to be how you determine the cost to the patients. So you want to make sure that's as accurate as possible, as opposed to having to, change that around when a ClinCheck comes back in. And last but not least, the show me portion. Patients, thinking patients need to see a visual to start. That's not always the case, but for a long time, we've been selling ClinChecks that way. Ryan, next slide, please. So we came out with the Invisalign Go system and platform and treatment plan to address all of those things and eliminate a lot of those concerns and hurdles we had in the past. The main concerns we heard from our doctors over the years was, I wish Invisalign was a little less complicated to use and a little more user-friendly. I want Invisalign to be easier to integrate into my practice with my staff and with our workflow. And last but not least, I'm not sure if tooth movement is relevant in my practice. So we were able to address all these different things with this platform that I'm going to go into in a moment. And as far as ease of use, we've tweaked everything to make a simplified treatment plan. It's a one-stop shop to get your prescription started, get your photos in there, and help get everything up and running fast. It's easier, and it makes life much easier in your workflow in the office when it's adopted. And last but not least, everybody on this call is doing full comprehensive dentistry. And if you're doing full comprehensive dentistry start to finish, ortho is a major part of that, and it needs to be treated as such. So there is a demand. Next slide, Ryan. So step one to get started before I go into the app is you're going to need to download it. So if you go to your app store, it's the Invisalign Photo Uploader. So I'll let everybody just take a minute to look at that so they can download that if you don't have it already. That's good, Ryan. So this is the steps to get started with your Invisalign Photo Uploader and get your case assessment. So essentially what we've done here is we've created an app and a way for you to get a patient prescription started, take the initial photos that the patient needs and you need for a prescription anyway, have a guided approach where the patient's mouth fits directly into the outline there. It's like coloring in the lines, uploading those photos and getting an instant response within 1 to 2 minutes of knowing what type of case your patient qualifies for and if they qualify for an Invisalign Go case or it's something that should be recommended and bumped up to a comprehensive case. So if you look step by step here, the first thing you're going to do is log in. The login is the same login as your Invisalign doctor site. That's how you're going to get in. To create a patient, once you're logged in, there's a plus sign in the corner, and you will start the prescription. It's first and last name, date of birth, male, female, and the most important section is clinical conditions. In the clinical conditions section, you're going to want to make sure that's as accurate as possible because the photos you take for the prescription will directly correlate to that for an accurate case assessment. They're then going to ask you for your primary order photos, which you see here in picture 4. You're going to take each one of those and snap the photos here with the guided outline. When they're all good quality and they're all accepted, you'll see check marks on all of them, and you will get your case assessment. It will ask you, do you want an Invisalign Go case assessment? So in 60 seconds to 2 minutes, you'll have something that looks like the next slide, Ryan. So you'll come back with different options. So if it is an Invisalign Go case and we see that with the photos we took and your clinical conditions, it comes back as an Invisalign Go treatment recommended, it will come back in green. It will say that we can address the chief concerns as indicated, and it'll tell you the movements we're doing and if they're easy or difficult. The beauty of this is now you know how long the case is going to take roughly, and you can have your 2-tier price points, so you can let the patients know if it's a comprehensive case, it's this price point. If it's a Go case, it's this price point. So you're able to now instantly answer those patients 2 questions there to help with chairside case acceptance. If it comes back as Invisalign Go treatment may be possible, it means we can do this with your Invisalign Go, but there might be some movements that are a little bit more complex, and it might be better suited as a comprehensive case. This is where you would look at the clinical conditions to see which movements are easy, and if those are the movements you're trying to achieve, you can do a Go case. If it says difficult and that's the main movement you're trying to achieve, it should be bumped up to a comprehensive. And if it comes up Invisalign Go not recommended, it's something you could think about taking on yourselves, or if it's something you say, I don't want to be involved with this, it looks a little too complex, there's refer case in the top right corner, and you can refer to one of your orthodontists. And then last but not least, we talked in the beginning about the workflow we saw pre-COVID and in the past, and it's still being used quite a bit, but this seems to be the workflow that we see our most successful practices using and having a much higher close rate in their field. So the first thing we'll do is when the patient shows interest, do your case assessment so you can answer those questions for them. Once they show and express their interest, you would scan the patient if you do have a scanner, or take the impressions if you don't. Set up your prescription, 30 minutes to modify your ClinCheck and treatment plan, and you can treat these cases in as little as 3 months, but we typically see up to 6 months of treatment. So a very short treatment time. There's a boatload of these types of cases sitting in the practice every day, and with a workflow like this, you're going to be more efficient and profitable than before. So with that being said, we talked about what the treatment is, with what Invisalign Go is in the platform, on what the workflow looks like, and then Ryan's going to jump in and go over the profitability section of this.
Thank you, Danny. Yes. So yeah, again, we talked about what it is and now how the workflow is, and I apologize I didn't mention this before, but if anybody has any questions, we are going to have a Q&A at the end. If there's a chat box that you can see on your screen, try to enter any of those questions into the chat box, but we want to make sure we answer any questions that we have for this. Otherwise, if we don't get to your questions, again, reach out to your TM. They're going to go over in more detail. This is just a really high level view of it, but we can definitely get some more detail. So Invisalign Go profitability. So how does this make sense, and specifically dollars and cents in your practice? So recommendation is a 2-tier pricing. Now the screen that you see right now are just recommendations. Now we make some, anywhere between $3,000 and $4,000 for Invisalign Go. I'm going to go right in the middle at that $34.99 price point. Invisalign Full right around that $5,000 price point. Again, anywhere between $45 and $55 is what we're seeing on average. But for these numbers, for this exercise, I wanted to use these numbers so you can see how these numbers here can be profitable in your practice. You can make any small adjustments as needed, but offering that tier 2 pricing to your patients, that 2-tier pricing to your patients will certainly give you guys an advantage in terms of offering mild to moderate treatment with those chairside assessments. So hopefully everybody can take a quick look at this. This is something, just recommended prices. Your TM could work with you about your demographics in your area and what makes the most sense for you. But again, just talking about profitability, I'm going to use these numbers as the round numbers going forward. So profitability with Invisalign. So we just mentioned before the recommended price point for your patients, Invisalign Go, would be $3,500. I'm sure some of you right now are thinking that's a little low. That doesn't make sense. How can I be profitable? Give me just a couple minutes. I'm hoping I can get that too. So your lab fee would be $1,574, and that's, you said $1,299, inclusive of the Vivera retainers. We want to keep these patients for life. We want to keep them in retention. We want to go ahead and bundle that into our price on the front end. So $1,574 is our lab bill, with our net profit being $1,926 per patient. We may have to factor in some flexible financing of 1% here, depending on what we're doing. But that boils down to, on average, about 3 hours of chair time, $642 per hour. Now I pause for dramatic, response, but just to give you an idea of, Invisalign Go and how that compares to comprehensive with a $5,000 price point. It's slightly higher, but you're going to get some more chair time hours. So even with your comprehensive cases, Go fits in there really nicely for those mild to moderate, easy case types that fit into your sweet spot of clinical comfortness, taking some initial photos on the front end, getting that case assessment so you can be confident with the how long and how much, and Invisalign can treat it in up to, under 20 aligners, and getting them all excited about it with the confidence that it is what we're presenting to that patient. And then just taking a look at some of the other procedures. I know we've talked to some doctors in the area to get some, round numbers of what are the most profitable procedures in your practice. And, round numbers, we got crowns as the single unit crowns is typically the most profitable procedures in your practice. And we can play with these numbers all day. These are consensus numbers. But if you look at the time per hour, if at the bottom of the screen, the Invisalign Go versus crowns, total revenue, cost per hour, gross margin per hour, this fits very comparable to what Invisalign Go and what Crowns is offering. So I share this with you because we have these easy, mild to moderate case types sitting in our chairs all day, every day, and we're not offering Invisalign, specifically Invisalign Go to these patients, just by taking a couple photos to get that information you need and they need. Maybe it's something we want to bring up more to our patients. There's some easy revenue for your practice. You factor in at a $3,500 price point. Again, we talked about these numbers. If an average patient base of 1,500 patients, and if we can figure out a way to get 10% of them to say yes, well, that's an additional $288,900 in our practice. You talk about incorporating an iTero into here, we're going to double or triple that revenue. So hopefully you can see the Invisalign Go opportunity with the amount of patients that you see on a regular basis, the amount of patients with those case assessment analysis, and some of these cool visual tools that we're about to show you in a couple minutes. You can see the opportunity that's in your practice just by using those Invisalign Go tools for those mild to moderate cases. And now we're going to introduce something really cool. I'm going to kick this off to Danny to kind of close this up with the ClinCheck in-face visualization tool, which is a whole mouthful. But Danny, back to you, buddy. Let's close it strong.
Thank you, Ryan. So after we went over the platform, what it is, what it entails, the workflow of it, the profitability portion, we'd like to end with the grand finale here, something that we've been really excited about, and the officers who have seen this have given us phenomenal feedback and are thrilled with this. And it's the mouthful itself, the ClinCheck in-face visualization tool. You're not going to have to say that too much. Ryan, if you go to the next slide, I'd love to share with what this is. So this is our new tool in our ClinCheck where we're able to show a treatment plan with the actual image of a patient's face. So once you take your photos that you would take in the initial photos, there's going to be an additional 12th photo in the middle. Ryan, if you jump to the next slide, if you look here, there's a wide smile patient photo in the middle of your photo uploader app. That photo plus your iTero scan, or once we receive your impressions and create your ClinCheck, we're able to merge the ClinCheck with the patient's Y-Smile to create their ClinCheck treatment plan. So Ryan, if you don't mind pulling up a ClinCheck for me right now, I'd like to show this to you, everybody on the call. So this is a ClinCheck. I'm sure you've seen it a million times before. If you look in the top left corner, it's actually for Bruce Wayne. So even Batman wants to get his teeth straightened with us. So that's kind of exciting. But this ClinCheck is something that you've seen hundreds of times, and your patients, I'm sure you show it to them and they get very excited about it. But my question to you, and I want to leave you with this, is if this is getting your patients excited and helping close cases, and there's still some of those ones that are slipping through the cracks, do you think something like the in-face visualization tool like this would help sell a case? A patient being able to see in their own face a before and after of what treatment would look like if they did Invisalign. I think the close rate would go up exponentially for the patients that are slipping through the cracks by being able to show this to them. And it is something you're able to share with them via email if they're not coming into the office. I know after the, post-COVID, the schedules are very busy right now, and patients are having, a hard time coming in as often as they'd like. This is something you can share with them in person or via email, but it's an amazing tool that our patients have been very responsive to and our offices have been thrilled about. So I'm going to leave you with that unless Ryan wants to sum anything else up, and we'll open it up to the Q&A portion.
Thank you, Danny. Yeah, we actually did get a couple chats come through, and you know, I thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think, you know, meet with your TMs for sure. We want to get you guys set up with this and make sure you're utilizing Invisalign Go in your practice as soon as possible. But a couple questions that have come in, and I'll take the first one is this available on all product lines? No, at the moment it is not. We do apologize. It's out for now. It's on Invisalign Go only, but in the future, yes, it will be available on all product lines. But to get started, you know, it's available on Invisalign Go. Let's utilize the Invisalign Go platform as we discussed with the price point and instant case assessment analysis. So yes, that will be available in the future on all product lines. It will also be available on the iTero chair side. So we do have some really exciting options for you there. A couple other questions that came through. Will this recording be available? Yes, it will be. Yes, definitely for the people that I am your TM. You'll be hearing from me just to go over this in more detail. Happy to set up some meetings to go over this one-on-one. And then there's still alignment, more trays needed. There is a refinement, Dr. Norika. So there's a refinement afterwards that we can utilize mid-course correction, if you will, to get those patients back on track if for whatever reason the alignment issues don't stay. But just so you know, if you submit for a case assessment analysis and it comes back as an Invisalign Go patient, we're figuring very comfortably that we're going to treat that in under 20 aligners, inclusive of that refinement if we need to. Last two questions I got, Danny, I'll let these take you. Are there advantage points for Invisalign Go, and then how do we email to patients?
Yes, so two good questions, and everyone feel free to add any more questions, you know, before you jump off too. We still have some time, but one, yes, you do get 500 advantage points for Invisalign Go cases. Comprehensive is 1,000, but for, you know, 20 aligners or less, 500 is a great advantage point to get. And as far as emailing to the patient, yes, you can do that right from the ClinCheck, where you would share in your ClinCheck, put the patient's email in there. They're going to get a 2-email security login to view their ClinCheck, and you can share that with them.
Excellent. Thank you, Danny. Last couple slides. So just next steps, guys, you know, engage with your team. I would say let's schedule some huddles with your team to discuss this. Of course, you know, your TMs, I'd love to be involved just to, you know, what these huddles look like, how to set it up, how to help train your team on this, on how to utilize it, chair side, tracking, monitoring, you know, and reviewing the process, continuing learning. We just want to make sure that we're involved. How can we help you guys? We want to make this easy, simple, profitable in your practice. And face those patient types that you see every day that we just don't engage with Invisalign and Invisalign Go specifically, and maybe we can now.
And also, Ryan, I want to add to that, you know, with the TMs, we can show you the workflows in this presentation all day long, but if you find that, you know, you have some questions about how it actually works in your practice, that's what we're here for. So please reach out to your TMs to come in, work out, you know, what way workflow works for you guys. This is what we've seen be successful, but there's always tweaks to be made. And that's what we're here for. So if you're looking to implement this easily, that's what we're here to do for you guys.
Yep. Thank you guys for joining us today. I'm going to leave you with this on the screen. If you're looking for some ways to offer Invisalign in your practice, maybe some marketing tools to utilize on your website or Facebook, Instagram, however you want to engage your patients. We got some really cool things like this and templates for stuff, but this ideally is what we're looking at as the most successful way to offer Invisalign to your patients for those mild to moderate treatment types. We are going to end the call now, but again, thanks for everybody for joining. We're going to have a version 3 or volume 3 of this series in 2 weeks. On September 9th at roughly 12:30. I'm going to open it up now and just let everybody off mute. If anybody has any questions, wants to bring up now, I'll just leave everybody just a minute if you need anything. Otherwise, we'll let everybody run. Thank you, guys. I think we'll end it now. Thanks so much for your time and enjoy the rest of your day. Appreciate your time today.